Ahead of the Passover holiday, CBN News sat down with famous Soviet refusnik Natan Sharansky. His emigration from the former Soviet Union to Israel in 1986 paved the way for the exodus of 2 million Soviet Jews. He told CBN News about how God miraculously delivered the Jewish people in and from the former Soviet Union, just like on Purim and Passover.
Natan Sharansky, welcome to Jerusalem Dateline. We're now between two important Jewish holidays when the Jewish people were saved, Purim and Passover. What's the significance of that in this?
Well, you know, in Haggadah, it is said that in every generation there are people who raise against us. Or the idea of Seder Pesach, of celebration, is to remind that the challenges are the same and to remind ourselves about the power of our people when we are guided by God. So I think we are lucky to be in the generation which went through the miracle of Purim and through powerful liberation of Exodus from Egypt. I was 5 years old when Stalin died, and my father explained to me that it's a great day for us, for Jews. I should remember all my life that miracle happened, we are saved. He didn't tell me that that is the day of Purim. Even if he told me, I was absolutely assimilated, we grew disconnected from anything Jewish. But that was the day of Purim, and Stalin died while planning the biggest massacre of Jewish people after Holocaust. The leading Jewish Soviet doctors were already arrested. They were tortured. They were accused in poisoning the leaders of the Soviet Union. Their trial and public execution was planned on Pesach, what means months after Purim. It had to bring to the lot of anger and pogroms. There was already prepared the letter of Russian Jewish leaders to Stalin, asking him to save Jewish people from the justified anger of Russian people. And then hundreds of thousands of Jews had to be taken from Moscow, Leningrad, Kiev, and other places and sent to Siberia. And it was planned that at least 1/3 of them will die already on their way there. And then Purim came and Stalin died. So everybody who knows the story of Purim can understand the power of this comparison. And I go to kindergarten and I do what father told me, what everybody does. Everybody is crying about Stalin and I'm crying. We are singing songs about the son of all the people, Stalin, and I'm also singing. And I have no idea how many children are really crying or how many of them are crying exactly as I, because we know that it's very good that Stalin died. So that was the beginning of my life of loyal Soviet citizen, of double think, when you know that all the life around you, it's all lies. But the truth can be only kept for your family and for your people. And you're not fighting for anything because there are no values except the value of survival.
That wasn't the end of the story for Sharansky, Soviet Jewry, or Jews around the world. There were other miracles in the works.
And then later, after 1967, when Israel entered our lives, and you understand that all the world looks on you and says, how you guys did it. The world connects me to Israel. You don't understand this connection. And in the underground, we start reading the books which were brought by Jewish tourists from abroad about Exodus from Egypt. And suddenly you realize that your history doesn't begin from Bolshevik Revolution, from 1917, but your history, if you decide that that is your history, starts from Exodus from Egypt, and it continues through thousands of years. And there are people who say we are family, Jews all over the world. And there is State of Israel which is ready to send airplanes to the end of the world to bring you freedom. That's when you find strength to start fighting for your rights, for rights of other Jews, and for the freedom. And that's how you became activist of Zionist movement and the human rights movement in the Soviet Union.
Sharansky became known as a refusnik, a Jew who was refused permission to leave the Soviet Union and immigrate to Israel. Sentenced to 14 years, he served 9, largely for spreading truth about human rights abuses in the Soviet Union.
I came 10 years after I was released from prison to Soviet Union as a minister of Israel. And I insisted that I will visit not only official meetings of the ministers, but also KGB prison, where I spent 1.5 years of interrogation. And they took my wife there. And when asked by the journalists, why are you doing it? Isn't it painful? I said, to the contrary, only think. That was the most powerful empire of our times. It controlled 1/3 of the world. KGB was the most sinister, most dangerous secret police in the world. And the leaders of KGB are explaining me that everything is finished. All the Jewish activists are arrested. The world is afraid to mention our names. I knew that it's a lie, but I was absolutely isolated. Now, Soviet Union doesn't exist. KGB doesn't exist. 2 million Jews left Soviet Union. More than 1 million lives in Israel. And all the world is a different place. And that all comes when we go back to our identity, to our values, when we hear the voice of God, and when we're united in this struggle. So miracles of Purim, and definitely miracles of Exodus from Egypt, happened in our generation.
Alpha, Omega.